two time for the cha-cha gang. Give me the cha-cha gang. Rockin' with the best, cha-cha gang. Give me the cha-cha gang. I like it on cha-cha gang. Give me the cha-cha gang. Watching my body cha-cha.
So there are fans and there are crazy fans. But it's not every day you have the opportunity to talk to a crazy fan that is also in the same WhatsApp group with the artists that they are crazy about. Well, on today's episode of the Cha-Cha Album Review Series on the Cha-Cha Music Review Podcast, I had the opportunity to talk with this crazy Johnny Drille fan who also happens to be in the same WhatsApp group with Johnny Drille, and she also attended the listening party of his debut album titled Before We Fall Asleep, which is what we'll be talking about today. My name is Hafeestonova, aka your musical plug, creator of the Energy Force. And without wasting much of your time, let me allow my crazy fan to introduce herself.
My name is Winifred Njoaguani. I'm a communicator. I'm a member of the Cha-Cha gang too.
All right, we'll be talking about the Johnny Drille album titled Before We Fall Asleep. That's what we're talking about. But, before we go into the details of, the album is that and all that, let me just, quickly give the audience a small details, about the album. So like I correctly said, the album is titled Before We Fall Asleep, and the album was released on the 3rd of September 2021. The album has 14 tracks and it features the like of Ayra Starr, Jazzy, Ladipoe, Lagos Community Choir, Chylde, Styl-plus, Cillsoul, and Kwittee. And the production credit goes to the likes of Johnny Drille himself, Wilson Music, London, Fink, and Boss Brain. Those are the people responsible for the production of the album. So, before we talk about the album itself, for how long have you been a fan of Johnny Drille?
So I've been a fan of Johnny Drille since 2016, I believe. That was the first time I heard My Beautiful Love. Yes, and since I heard that song, that particular track, I don't know. I just asked myself, like, who is this guy? Who's this guy? So I went to look him up and I saw Johnny Drille. I'm like, okay. And then I started looking for all his other songs. And I saw My Beautiful Love first. Then I saw Love Don't Lie. I saw Start All Over with Niniola. I saw a lot of his songs and I just fell in love. And then I became hooked on Johnny Drille today.
Okay. I would like to, I think the first thing that will come to everybody's mind when they hear Johnny Drille, the first question is always going to be, who the hell is this guy? Because, we have artists in Nigeria that do, alternative music, but Johnny Drille he's just a different kind of, singer. Let me put it like that. And I remember the first time I heard Johnny Drille, I think it was in 2014 or 2013. And when I first heard him in my mind, I felt, is this a Nigerian? Because then there wasn't really any Nigerian that was doing the kind of music was doing, except from this guy, what's his name, etc. But even with Essentra, there was still a little bit of difference. And I felt, Johnny Drille. And fast forward to 2021, he finally released his first studio album. He has been in the industry for at least a minimum of 6 years. And after all the old singles he has released, he's finally released his first studio album, which is titled Before We Fall Asleep. Now, when you heard that Johnny Drille was putting out his album, you never even hear the album. You just hear say, Ingo release album. What was your expression? What was your feeling?
Well, I was like, finally. Okay, so let me first of all say that I'm not an album person. If I like a track, I like a track. So I'm not really keen on an album. So I wasn't one of those fans that were putting a lot of pressure on him. Everywhere I go, everyone is saying, Johnny Drille, do an album. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whether you do an album or not, I'm cool. So when he said he was working on an album, I'm like, finally, because you have listened to people, not me, but you have listened to people like, okay, that's good. So I was like looking forward to it because, like I said, I'm not an album person, but this one, I am going to be on it. That kind of thing, because Johnny Drille is my guy. The only thing I'm going to listen to all this, so bring it on. And then thankfully, I was privileged to maybe follow through this because I follow him back to back, like a crazy fan that I am. So I was privileged to follow through the process, the steps. And I must say that, well, I was really anticipating it. I was really anticipating.
All right, now let's talk about the album itself. I think from the title, you can kind of guess, the kind of album it should sound like before you fall asleep. It's those kind of album that you put before you go to bed at night and you just want to, have a smooth, Night Sleep and all that. But when you first had the album, for the first time, what was your feeling? What did you feel?
So Johnny had he released a track off of the album at first. Loving Is Harder. I think that came out in was it September?
That came out in August.
Or was it August ending? Yeah, August ending. So Loving Is Harder came out, and I'm like, so okay, let me just say. So before this album, when he did Mystery Girl,
yeah,
or even before Mystery Girl, he had this Jazzy and Johnny thing he was doing on Instagram, where he would act as two people. He would act as Jazzy. Jazzy is the rock guy, the bad guy, and all of that. While Johnny is the one we know, is the pastor's son that we know. He's the cool guy. So he had this thing of having multiple personalities. So I was already getting a sense from that. Like if he's going to an album, he would bring in those two personalities into the album. So when he released Mystery Girl and I saw the video, I'm like, I know what this guy is trying to do. He's trying to play on our feelings, man. He's trying to give us the bad boy that we want, that Nigerians want, and the pastor's son that some of us still like about him. So when Loving Is Harder came out, I saw JD come to play. I'm like, okay, I know what's going to happen in this album. He's going to have the smooth Johnny Drille kind of songs that we have always known. And he's still going to have the bad guy, Malian vibes, sort of JD, theme. And then I wasn't wrong. I've said it, there's a group that we are on, it's called Our Lovers. It's Johnny Drille's fan club. When I say I'm a crazy fan, I'm a crazy fan, though. Let me just put it out there. So yeah, Johnny's on that group as well, by the way. So on that group, I was saying, Johnny's about to give us Johnny and JD vibes. And someone was like, yeah, they can sense it. And boom, that's what happened. So on the album itself, there is Johnny. We have Sister, have My Kind of Brown. I won't forget that. That's like my favorite. One of my favorites. I can't pick a favorite. Then we also have the JD vibes. We have Lies. We have Ludo. We have Over. We have Odo, the one featuring Styl-plus. So he gave us like something for everyone. If you want the calm, collected, cool, island breeze vibes, you can have it on that album. If you want to dance to something, you want to nod your head, it's on the album. If you want something because you're pissed off with the situation of the country, it's on the album. I mean, he just did everything on that album.
Yeah, he did everything on the album, but I'm going to say this, and this is going to come as a surprise. Even for me, it was as a surprise. I won't lie to you. The first day I heard Johnny Drille album, I swear to God, I know film. I had the album, I was like, really? Is this what Johnny Drille did? Because the truth, and the reason why I didn't feel it was because I had this kind of, should I say, expectation. There was something I was expecting from the album, and I didn't really get, because I felt like, okay, this is going to be the first album you're going to put out for, ever since you've been in career, and we know Johnny Drille is good. And, the kind of Johnny Drille that I've been used to, when he does his music, it sounds more like acoustic, just, playing a little bit of piano and a little bit of, guitar. So when I heard the album, I was expecting, more songs like, okay, I think Johnny Drille is ready to bombard us with this kind of song that we are going to be, whoa. So at first, I didn't first of all feel the album because I didn't get what I was expecting. So I now went back to the album and said, okay, you know what? I'm going to listen to this album with no expectation. Let me just see what the album has to offer. And after listening to it for the second time, I was blown away. And I even appreciated it more because what he did on this album was something I didn't expect and something that showed how much Johnny Drille has grown, not just, as a music artist, but also as someone that has been in the industry for so long. Because this album, I will tell you, was, I don't want to use the word, okay, let me just say the way it's coming to my head. It has a much more commercial appeal, compared to the Johnny Drille that we know. I mean, like you rightly said, this song, if you listen to the album very well, aside from, I think the first song that started with, My Kind of Brown, which was kind of the typical, Johnny Drille that we used to know, look like songs like the one that features Don Jazzy, Over, the one that features I think Styl-plus, although those songs do not really typically sound like the normal Johnny Drille that we know. These were songs that, in as much as Johnny Drille's sound or Johnny Drille's style, might not be that the pom 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 pom, the Afrobeat to the world, quote unquote sound that we are used to. but you could still tell that those songs had vibes. They had rhythm. There were songs that you could definitely nod your head to and say, okay, wow, I'm feeling this. And like you already mentioned, this track titled Lies, to which may concern. Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. That song, for me, that was my best song on the album. And the reason why that song is my best song on the album because of I never for one imagined an artist who mix rock and Afro beats, like pure Afro beat. I'm talking of fella Afro beat this time around together.
Yeah.
The song started with the old rock feeling, and somewhere, towards the ending when they were just playing instrumentals, then a little bit of Afro beat just came in. I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing, man? I mean, so the album itself, now for people that really don't know Johnny Drille, maybe they started listening to Johnny Drille last year or they started listening to Johnny Drille this year, they might not understand, what we are trying to say in terms of his sound. Yeah. Definitely, if you just take this album and say, oh, you want to use this album to judge Johnny Drille, then you won't understand where it's coming from. Because one thing I've always been afraid about for Johnny Drille is if he should release an album, how much of a commercial success is it going to have? Aside from us that we are, probably like someone like you that you're a crazy and hardcore fan of, Johnny Drille, a normal person that is just, might be a music person might not really connect with the album because, they don't really understand the kind of music it does. So I've always had this feeling like if this guy should release an album, I don't know, is it going to sell? Will people enjoy it? But when I listened to this album, I felt, okay, no, this guy, he has cracked the code. He understood the market and the audience he was going to service to, and it definitely, came on point. And like you rightly said, it is difficult for you, to pick your best song of the album. So I'm just going to assume that for you, there is no bad song on that album.
There is no bad song. There might be a song that I might skip. I've listened to it so many times, and maybe when I'm listening to the album, I might just skip the song. I don't know. Is there any? I doubt. But there are definitely songs that I put on repeat until I'm tired. No, I can't pick a favorite. I'm not going to lie. Even in the light, what he did with Ayra Starr. Yeah. That one, I don't know. I can't place. I can't say, okay, this is Johnny or this is JD. Using the illustrations I've given earlier, I can't say because where did that come from? And lies to where this guy? Where did all of this come from?
Shout out to Ayra Starr on that song. I mean, that girl just kept busting my brain, man. She really came through. She really came through on the on that track. And that's on that track that I find funny that I never expected. When I saw the track, I was like featuring Don Jazzy. I'm like, okay, no wait, how would Johnny Drille and Don Jazzy how would they blend together? And I was like, what tripped me on that song was not even Don Jazzy's part. I mean, it was the second verse. How Johnny Drille came into the second verse of that song, like, oh my God, who is this guy? Because I won't lie to you, I felt when that second verse first started, I felt maybe it was on that featured artist that they didn't write the name. If you listen to that song very well, the first verse, started like the old Johnny Drille. But the way he took the second verse, probably because Don Jazzy was going to come in the second verse, it made it sound so much different. And we didn't even know, for the fact that Don Jazzy has this, deep and,
very deep voice, yeah.
Understand? I didn't really know. Like, I felt like, who is this guy that came in before Don Jazzy? I had to go back, rewind it back. And like, oh, is this Johnny Drille? Now, why is it sounding so, different? And
yeah, with the whole helplessly.
You understand?
He was there.
For people that have not been following Johnny Drille, they might not really appreciate and understand the magnitude of what he did, on this album. I mean, look at this song, Sweet as a Mother's Love. Oh my God.
Yeah, I love that song.
That is another song that keeps busting I think that song and Lies to It May Concern were the two songs that I played repeatedly. When I was listening to the album the second time, those were the songs I played repeatedly, like before I moved to the next track. I mean, those songs were just out of
they were pleasing to the ears. They were like food to the soul.
I mean,
I would say it over and over again. I heard. Okay, first of all, the song with Ayra Starr. I went for the premiere, the album. Yeah, I was at the album premiere, of course, as a bad fan that I am. I was at the album premiere night. I heard ludo and I was like, is this Johnny Drille? And I heard In the Lights Ayra Starr and I'm like, hey God, this album should just come out. So he didn't play or he didn't perform Sweet as a Mother's Love. So I didn't see that one. I had my kind of brand. I was like, okay, this is our Johnny Drille, So when I heard Sweet as a Mother's Love, I'm like, please, where's my wine? I need wine. I need laundry. I need to just be dancing with somebody's son right now. I just feel because this is just too much. Like, this is just too much calmness to my soul.
Another thing I like about the album is the arrangement of each track and how they kind of connected to each track. So the first track is my kind of the first track is My Kind of Brown, talking about his kind of girl and his kind of woman and all that. Then his second track is Love Is Harder, making us understand. So come, in as much as it's the kind of girl I like, to love is not as easy
hard,
as
loving is harder than what you think.
You understand? Then the next song goes to, ludo in Nigeria, the game. So it's basically telling us, are you staying with or you're going or you're, don't play with my heart. Then the next song starts with Over. How Over? What makes me laugh with that song was when Jazzy said, foolish me.
Yeah. But I'm not staging. I'm like, I was like, Don Jazzy and Cruise are 5.
I was like, Don Jazzy is just a clown. He's just a big clown. Like, seriously. All in all, I would say Johnny Drille really, really came through on this album. And I'm so excited. I mean, I'm one of the people that I'm excited for Drille because looking at how far he has come in the music industry, and to finally release a body of work as massive as this and that has been getting a lot of props. I mean, even from people that I don't expect, because technically it's hard for Nigerians to listen to kind of Johnny Drille music. But somehow, somewhere, I think he has been able to crack that code to make sure that in as much as you like good music, you will listen to Johnny Drille. It's as simple as that. For those of us that have been a fan of Johnny Drille or that we've been following Johnny Drille music, I think it's safe to say the wait was worth it. And it goes a long way, to boost his career because we've been saying it, Johnny Drille is a musical genius, but we cannot really point to that body of work to say, okay, go and listen to this body of work. All we could point to were just singles, covers, and all that. But with this, I mean, we can always point to something and we can always refer to something. And this can also be used, as a template for every other artist that might be coming, in that kind of Johnny Drille style and Johnny Drille's, pattern. Before we, get to wrap up the whole conversation about the album. So let's say you are going to give the album a rating, an over 10. What would you rate the album and why?
Oh wow! Okay.
And please try not to be biased.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So I will not. I'm going to try and speak like someone who's not a fan, like someone who's not a diehard fan. Like, let's assume I was listening to Johnny Drille for the first time. Okay, I am going to rate the album this is hard, man. This is hard. Johnny, I love you, right? Johnny, I love you so much. And I love good music. I'm a lover of music and everything. So I'm going to say that this album is a 10 over 10. I'm so sorry that I couldn't give it more than that, Johnny.
Okay, so why a 10 over 10?
Okay, first of all, there is something in the album for everyone. So if you're not in the mood for, that one thing with music is everything definitely works with our mood at the moment. Okay, everything in life, including listening to music. We're all music lovers. I am a music lover. You are a music lover. But there are still some songs that you would want to skip. Okay, I'm not in the mood for this. Let me listen to this. Okay, so on that album, no matter what your mood is, there's something for you. So sometimes I'm in the mood to dance. I'm always in the mood to dance. But I'm in the mood to dance. I can play ludo. I can play over. I can play odo. Or I might just be in the mood to, just chill. I can play Sweet as a Mother's Love. I can play my kind of brown. So that's why I'm going to say that this album is a complete work of art because he didn't just say, oh, my fans are going to love it. My fans are going to love it. No. He actually looked at the commercial aspect of it, just like he said. So that's why I'm going to give it a 10 over 10 because Johnny did a lot of work on the album. I'm not speaking because I'm a fan. This is not a sentimental rating or anything. This is without sentiments and bias. I feel like that album is a complete work of art. You know why? Everybody that I have spoken to about the album, they always pick at least one song that they're hooked on. At least one song. So that's why I'm going to give the album a 10 over 10.
Well, as for me, one thing about me when I want to, rate an album is I have to look at so many things. I have to look at the lyrics, the amount of songs, the production, the rhythm, the vibe, the melody, all these things combined. And for me, honestly speaking, I'm going to give the album a 9/10. And the reason why I'm going to give the album a 9/10 because first of all, let me start with the production. The production of this album is superb. And when I talk about production, I'm not just talking about the mixing and mastering, which was actually done by Johnny Drille himself. And majority of the songs was also, produced, by Johnny Drille, except from, some few songs. Now, one thing I also like most about this album, well, let me say two things. Number one is how commercially this album has gone. And I'm not saying, when you use the term, is a commercial song. People expect it to do tumba, 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 tumba.
Yeah, to make noise.
You understand? To make noise. But this is not that. I never thought I would say Johnny Drille would do a commercial song. But when you listen to this album, you can tell that this album has that commercial appeal. It's something that you can listen to and you say, okay, yes, I enjoy this song. Yes, because you could connect and you could, relate with it. Another thing is, the replay value. This is an album that's in the next 5 years, and I'm just being moderate. You can still pick up this album and you say, wow, who the hell is this artist? Everything was perfect, and that's why I'm going to give it a 9/10. All right, Winnie, thank you very much for being on the podcast. I really, really, really do appreciate. And since I big fan of what's his name, Johnny Drille, and both of them in the same WhatsApp group. Just let me throw a shout out to Johnny Drille and tell him thank you, for the wonderful job he did on this, album. And before you go, let me, because when you were introducing yourself, I was looking at her. This girl is being humble. She doesn't want to mention that she's a podcaster. She's just being humble. Let me allow you tell the people about your podcast and how they can get to listen to you on your podcast.
My name is Winifred Njoaguani, like I said earlier. The name of my podcast is The Word of Winnie Podcast. It is a lifestyle, society, and culture podcast, just focuses on a few issues on society and then addresses them. It's also a lifestyle, so sometimes you do a few freestyles, Yeah, that's about it. You can find my podcast on Instagram at _the Wow Podcast, THEWOW Podcast. Trust me, there's a lot of amazing exclusive content going on there. So yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of amazing content going on that podcast. So Chacha Nation, make sure you support, Winifred and our podcast. Once again, Winnie, thank you very much for being on the podcast. I really, really appreciate.
Thank you for having me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and members of the Chacha Nation, with that, I have come to the end of the Chacha album review series on the Chacha Music Review Podcast, which is being brought to you by Absolute Tap Media, your number one online media and digital marketing agency. Of course, my name would always be Hafeestonova, aka your musical plug, creator of the Energy Force. Peace out.
Two time for the Cha-Cha gang. Give me the Cha-Cha gang. Rockin' with the best, Cha-Cha gang. Give me the Cha-Cha gang. Alayela with Cha-Cha gang. Give me the Cha-Cha gang. What's in my body, Cha-Cha gang. Give me the Cha-Cha gang. Cha-Cha gang. What's in my body?